The Ryanair Chase, as we move to the new track for day 3. Footpad has been a big market mover today. He's into 3-1, 7-2 at a lot of firms. Monolith. Kevin, I'll kick off with you. I know he's not your biggest, but you do really like Monolith. He was very good last time at Corn Park.
He was, yeah. And look, I've been a bit sickened the last 2 years. Like Henry and his owner have had a tricky choice there the last 2 years. They were very much torn between the mid-range race and the stay-in race. They went for the stay-in race twice, the Albert Bartlett and the RSA, and he's run very well both times. Look, he clearly stays. But I just think, I thought all along that a mid-range trip where he gets a lead, you know, he clearly is very effective when he's making the run, and I think he'd be better again if something like Frodon now was going a real strong gallop out in front in the Ryanair, and Monolith could track him and follow him. I think that would show him to absolute maximum effect. I hope he runs here. I was speaking to Henry the other day for a stable tour with ATR, and Jesus, he was kind of worryingly windy about the decision now that they could go Gold Cup, which I wouldn't like. But ultimately, their horse, you know, if that's what they do, that's what they do. But I think you'd have a smashing chance.
Did you not tell him that you wouldn't get the Kevin Blake seal of approval if he was to go for the Gold Cup?
I gave him my theory and all. He didn't tell me I was talking shite now, but he.
That's good. That's good.
So hopefully he goes that way. But the other bit of, and I know the market's probably telling you the story.
They might have thought that goes without saying.
There you go.
Yeah.
But the market's probably telling you now. But I think Simon Muneer was telling a few people at a Cheltenham preview last night that Footpad's pretty much decided he's going to go here.
Yeah, Daryl Jacobs said it as well at the preview.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's the vibe. So that's what you're weighing up. And I respect Footpad. Look, if he came back to his best, I loved him last year. Loved him last season. How couldn't you? But geez, he's been a bit disappointing. They're going to run him with no hind shoes because he's overreaching. It's just been a bad preparation for him. I think, and Willie doesn't agree, I think he might prefer a bit of softer ground that he's going to get as well. So look, Monolith, I hope he runs. I hope there's a couple of front runners in the race. And I think he could put on a bit of a show. I think we'll see the very best version of Monolith in those circumstances.
Okay, so Monolith for you. Tony Kinnan, on to you. Monolith for Blake. What about yourself in the Ryanair?
A couple of things about Monolith. Like, Henry de Bromhead's a bit of a romantic, isn't he? Like, he does some of the, he sometimes runs horse. Like, Season John was looking at Duvan's arse over fences for 3 or 4 runs that year, and he ran again in the Arkle, maybe when the GLT was there for the taking. Size in Europe, maybe that was governed by the owner. They were trying to make Gold Cup horse out of him. So I wouldn't say it's a million that he does go to Gold Cup. You know, that sort of attitude seems to be there. Geez, Kevin, I think there'll be 4 or 5 or 6 horses in this that have better form than Monolith. I think he's one of the worst favourites of the week now. I don't know. I'm not seeing this at all. The clock would say like he is the 5th or 6th best horse in the race. I wouldn't really be a Footpad fan. I think he won a complete pace collapse in the Arkle last year. I think you'd be better judging him off the Leopardstown run because not every race develops like that. The raids on Petit Mouchoir and St. Calvados were suicidal from the 2 jockeys there. And he's had 2 overreaches this year. Troubled prep for the thing. Wouldn't really love him. Ground's probably going to be a bit quick for Undersow. Frodon runs these big figures, but it's all oftentimes in handicaps. So the horse I was coming for, I know you won't believe this, Emma, I fancy an English horse. I know you can't
You
believe
fancy
it.
Frodon?
No, I fancy Fox Norton.
Oh, Foxy.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
How old is Foxy?
Cheltenham Festival horse. Love the way he's been brought back. You don't want him blowing his brains the first run back of a long injury. He's been built back up to it. If Serename is the best horse in training, look, Altior's the best horse in training, but the figure he did in Ascot was savage. Should the 2nd and 3rd then not be very good horses?
He was beaten 18 lengths.
He still ran to a good figure that's going to build up. Ascot isn't going to be his track. 3rd run off a break, on to Cheltenham. He's double figures. I thought he had a bit of a chance, and I think the front end of it is a little bit flaky.
All right. Well, look, he's into 10-1 today, so obviously somebody is following your work. Barry, for you, are you going to have a ride in the race? And if you had your pick, who would it be?
Possibly Hell's Kitchen, but he's not good enough. I'd agree with Tony, though, with the flakiness of the head of the market. And personally, I'd go with Undersow on his run in the Tingle Creek behind Altior. There is rain forecast. If it's on the slow side, all the better. But they're not the strongest bunch, and I think Undersow is, you know, he's been there and he's done it. He's proven.
Jamie, that was one hell of a run from Undersow in the Tinkle Creek. He really made Altior put out all the stops that day, and we know how good he is. He's not really getting the credit he deserves this time around.
No, he's an absolute tiger. I'm with Barry all day on this one. I thought his run behind Altior in the Tingle Creek is the best form here. Monolith should win, but I think Undersow is just a hardened campaigner. and I think if they get a drop of rain, look at he could go back to the Arkle either if the heavens opened, but
well, he won't go back to the Arkle, but the Champion Chase.
If the heavens open, but I'd say the Ryanair the way the ground is at the minute is set up for him, and I think his form is rock solid, and I'd be siding with him definitely.
And you could just draw a line under last year's performance behind Balco the Flow. That clearly wasn't him that day for whatever reason. I
don't think so. And it just if he backs up the run from the Tingle Creek,
yeah,
I'd say that's rock solid.
Okay, Matt, we've had one tip for an English horse. So you on the Irish side or the British side here?
I mean, I was kind of thinking a bit of everyone in some ways, in that I thought if the ground was good or good to soft, Monolly, and if it was soft or heavy, Underso. And I was split between those. Footpad, I just think, is massively overrated. He was really exciting last season, but when you actually look at the Arkle, it was a desperate race with the two nutters who went off like as if they all back Footpad, and even then, and then even Footpad didn't actually jump that well and basically just fell in because, as I say, the nutters were on it. Frodon, I think he's more likely to go here than Gold Cup now, and he's not without a chance. You can't ignore Frodon. I'm not very excited about it, to be honest. But Monolly, it's a long time since he's actually won a Grade 1, and he has had jumping issues, but he seems, in the main, to be a good jumper. Thought he jumped really well for Blackmore the other day. If she got the ride over Feely, I wouldn't be that fussed, because she's a bit like Bryony Frost. She seems to get them jumping.
Has Noel Feely pissed you off or something? That's the second time you've had a go at him tonight.
No, lovely lad. These jockeys can understand you talking about the game. It's nothing personal. You're talking about the horses. But I definitely wouldn't fancy Footpad. Absolutely no way, Jose. I go Monolly if the ground's good and Underso if it's bottomless. I mean, he's 11-year-olds never won the Ryanair. Admittedly, the Ryanair hasn't gone very long. But, your gut feeling is he's getting on a bit. But as I'm, of course, going to tip Faheen shortly, I can't go on too much about age.